Got it. That boy, keep working that phone every time. A good one. Not your side, but he's good one. You got your one. That's all that matters. All right. Fish landing violation. Now you can hold one. Heck yeah! Take your call. All right.
There we go.
Nice. All right.
Hey!
Nice.
Chasing man, you show us how to perform. Well, your style's been changed because we're so vain, but you'll take a sunset for stone. Look out her name, you're bad, bad, bad. Here you come, said you're bad, bad, bad. Sing for a time, you're the hottest ticket in town. Well, you show us new moves, cause baby, you're smooth, you're above us.
We'll get those live vests zipped in clips, strap down those rods, and put away those tackle bags because we are going fishing. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bass Two Anglers podcast. I hope this episode finds you with 5 for 25 in your live well. I'm your host, Keith Nicewanger. Cliff Crochet is one of the most colorful characters on any of the bass fishing tours. In my interview with Cliff, all I had to do was get him started. But first, if you like the content that we have on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. We are trying to build our viewership, and your follow helps immensely. We'd also like to hear from you, so leave us a comment if you're so inclined. Of course, you know we are the Western representatives for Ducket fishing, pro-driven rods, reels, and baits. Ducket is building a Western presence, and if you haven't seen it yet, you soon will. Not to mention the strongest pro staff in all of professional bass fishing. Find out about the Ducket lineup of pro-driven products by going to their website, ducketfishing.com. As I sat at the breakfast table each morning of the Writers' Conference at Guntersville, listening to Cliff Crochet tell stories, I thought, I have got to record this. Fortunately, I was able to get Cliff one afternoon to sit down, and I just literally had to hit the record button, and off he went. He's an amazing storyteller and a really, really great person. I think you're going to enjoy his story. We are at the Guntersville Writers' Conference, and we have Cliff Crochet, Pierre Part, Louisiana.
Down the bayou.
Down the bayou.
Down the bayou.
Biggest gator you ever saw?
Biggest gator I ever saw. Frightened. I gotta tell you the story. You can't just.
No, this is what we're here for.
I was fishing with my partner Tyson. I was in the spillway, Chaffly Basin. Was in the bayou right across from the Bell River Public Ramp. And that gator was probably a 12-footer. That's the biggest one I've seen at home, probably about 12-footer. The biggest one I saw ever was probably at Santee Cooper in the lower lake, fishing a pocket. And I was in a 20-foot boat. And I was fishing this pocket, water's clear, I could see the bottom. And I looked down, there's a gator on the bottom. And I mean, it was big. It was like 14 foot or something. It looked like the whole length of my boat.
Yeah.
Like the biggest one I ever saw. It was Ross Barnett, Mississippi, got some big ones too. I don't mess with them. I don't mess with them lizards. They can have them.
I have never encountered a gator. I'm a Southern California guy. We don't have gators, but I'm always intrigued by gator interactions with bass fishermen, and being from Louisiana, gators kind of normal for you, right?
Yeah, they everywhere. Big ones, small ones, they just everywhere, and they can be aggravating sometimes because they will chase a topwater bait.
Yeah. And
they come and they chase it, and they ain't real smart because the next cast they'll follow it again. The bigger ones, probably if you get about 4 foot or bigger, they don't really mess with them too much. But the small ones, they'll chase them all day, every day.
And they're fast.
They can be. Yeah, sometimes they'll get you. The worst thing about alligators is when you're fishing this perfect spot, and you see that isolated log out in the middle of the bayou. You're like, that's him right there. I'm going to catch one off of that. And you throw, and then you start reading the bait, and the log swimming to your bait. It's an alligator.
Yeah.
That can be pretty frustrating.
That's awesome. So, how far north do they go? We don't have them here in Alabama. Oh, maybe Southern Alabama.
Yeah, I bet they do have some in Alabama. They got them on the Alabama River. I know they got some on the Alabama River.
Okay.
Out of Prattville, that section of the river. I've seen them there. Tell you one good thing about alligators. Well, alligators kind of like, in nature, it all kind of flows together. So if you see alligator activity, they probably got fish around. That's what I've always been told. If you're around alligators, you're around fish.
Back home, when the cows start to eat,
that's when the fish start.
The bass start to eat.
They're not. The cows in Alabama must be skinny now because they ain't eating in a few days.
It has been tough out there the last few days. Cliff, bass fishing story. Something comes to mind.
Bass fishing story. Yeah. I'll tell you the one that kicked it off.
Okay.
I was in like 6th grade. My 3-wheeler broke. So I grabbed the rod and walked to the bayou in front of my house. And I caught one that was like 12 inches long. Might have been 2 pounds. I don't know. It wasn't real big. And I run home, put in a bucket to show my dad when he get home from work. And that was the fish that kicked it off for me because the next day I stopped at the bait shop. There was a local bait shop. Stopped there the next day. Stopped there the next day. Stopped there the next day. Got to hanging around. The guy that owned it took me fishing, and that's when I went to learn about fishing. So that was the one that got me going. I will tell you this one. Another memorable fish is my biggest fish ever. That's always a good story to tell. Fishing a Bass Elite event, St. John's River. St. John's River is the first place I've got to check in an open tournament. That was in 2009. I got my first 2008 Southern Opens. So I like St. John's River. I had a 12 cut there, and river's been good to me. So first day of the tournament, I fished real fast, and never settled into an area. And I had 8 pounds. I had 4 fish for 8 pounds with a 3-pounder. So that tells you I didn't do real good. I was in like 80-something place. So being a genius that I am, I said, man, I'm gonna switch up tomorrow and do something totally different. So I fish all these different areas and different techniques, and I don't catch nothing. And it's like 12 o'clock or so, and I'm kind of starting to panic. I'm sitting on 0, hadn't had a bite yet. I'm about to finish jet last. And I said, man, I'm going to fish that stretch over there and go that way. I caught him on that stretch before. It was all good. So that's the one place I got confidence where they live. I tried everything else, and I go over there. So I go on that stretch out the trolling motor, pick up a ribbit, and I fish for about 15 minutes. And all of a sudden, the pressure just came off of me. Like, I wasn't worried about getting a bite. I wasn't worried about nothing. I was just fishing down the bank, having fun. I didn't know what was going on. It's almost like Jesus was smiling down on me. I'm throwing a ribbit, and big old fish comes up and gets it. When the fish bit, I knew it was like 5 or 6 pounds. Just from the way it hit. Reeled down, set the hook, and I'm like, it's a 6-pounder. And it starts cutting to the side. I'm like, that's a 7 or 8. And I get it. I fight the fish to the boat, and fight. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I'm just gonna boat flip it. I'm like, dude, you can't boat flip this fish. This is like 8 or 9 pounder. By that time, it didn't grew to 8 or 9 pounds. It's big. So I reach in the water, I lip him, put him in the boat. Biggest fish ever, 10 pounds, 5 ounces, and that started the day. And I caught a few more fish. Ended up weighing like 22.3. Made the cut, and went back and fished the next day. But that was the sort of the biggest one. Hadn't had a bite all day. On the top water, in a tournament, first bite of the day, and did not win big bass. I've caught 2 10-pounders in tournaments and have not won. In 13 years of professional fishing, I have not won a tournament big bass.
Is that right?
And I've weighed in 2 10-pounders.
Wow, that's something. Nickname, Cajun Baby. Where'd that come from?
Cajun Baby comes from 2008, fishing the Central Opens. I was fishing the St. Johns River, and at that weigh-in, Terry was there. So they're talking about the big show, and they're talking about Ike and Ish, and just the nicknames of tournament fishing. And I got a check, first check fishing, semi-pro tournaments. So I was all pumped up. And so I'm at the weigh-in, and I walked down the hill, and I told a woman, I asked the lady if I could buy a hamburger. And she said, no problem. She said, where you from? I said, well, Louisiana, of course, And she said, I can tell by the way you talk. I said, no way. You can tell by the way I talk. So I buy a hamburger, I get my check, I hear him talking about Big Show, and I kind of a smart ass a little bit, kind of eager, kind of being a smart ass. I said, man, when I make it big, which I had no idea, I'm still trying to make it big. I said, but if I ever make it, I'm gonna have a name that I'll go by, a call sign, something like that.
Yeah. So a brand, that's what we call it now, right?
Yeah, it's a brand.
Yeah.
So get on the road, and drove home that night, and I'm somewhere between Tallahassee and New Orleans or somewhere driving home on I-10, and I'm all excited because I got my check and I'm about to blow up, and I don't have a clue what's going on, but I know I got my first check and I'm all excited, and I'm thinking about this name and of what I'm gonna do and what I'm gonna come out with, and some kind of way Cajun Baby. Cajun Baby came. At first it was Cajun Baby Incorporated. But we went away from Cajun Baby Incorporated because Incorporated sounds a little bit too.
Well, it can be incorporated. We just don't have to call it incorporated.
Right. it just didn't flow. So it's Cajun Baby Fishing is what it ended up being. So that's spring of 2009. Fall of 2010, I qualified for my first classic and fished the Elite Series. So I'm getting my boat wrapped, and you had to put your name. You got to put your name on the boat. It's one of the things you got to do. So I'm at the wrap shop, and my buddy says, "Man, you ought to put Cajun Baby on there, Cliff Crochet." I'm like, I don't know. He's like, "Just do it." So I did it. I've been having this great idea in my pocket, and I'm about to not use it. But my partner Ken Sherman, front to back boat service, rigging my boat. He's like, "Do it. You need to do it. It'll work." So I do it, put it on my boat, and had a couple pictures during practice. And Keith Allen was the MC at the time. He saw it or caught wind of it or whatnot.
Yeah.
Cajun Baby Cliff Crochet, and
there it is.
There it is.
Branded.
That was the stupidest, smartest thing I ever did. Not even on purpose. And it has worked because it is different. It stands out.
I suppose I suppose the smartest, stupidest thing, it'd be better than the stupidest, smart thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess depending on how you look at it. The good thing about it is that when you're clowning and daydreaming and being sarcastic and just having fun and hanging out, every now and then something good comes of it. And this was something good that came out.
It's just like fishing. It's like your intuition, right? You're sitting there struggling, can't make any fish, and then you get that idea. Oh,
what if I go through a white buzzbait
right over
in
there,
the middle of the day?
Right, that looks like, and you don't even know why you did that.
But it works.
But if you're struggling, you might think, shoot, nothing's working, so why will that work? And you ignore it, right?
But yeah, that was.
You gotta listen to your ideas.
Yeah, you gotta listen to your ideas, and that was, like I said, that was Brandon before. Brandon was
right.
Brandon, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it worked out. It's been fun. It's led to a lot of conversations. It's led to this conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's where our Cajun Baby comes from. Just this great plan I had, and I almost didn't use it. I'm glad Ken talked me into doing it.
Okay, so 2019 was it was I don't know what you call it, a good year or a bad year for bass fishing. We had the split. You know, the Elite Series, so many guys left the Elite Series and went over. What was that like for you? Was that an easy decision?
No, that was 2019 was interesting, and it was good.
That's a good way of describing it, because at the very least it was interesting.
It was, some people think it was good, some people thought it was bad,
right.
Some people make deals with their life, some people, who knows? But it was definitely interesting. So the first thing was that it was cool to be involved in an era of fishing. It was something, that split happened, and whether it's good or bad or who knows where it goes, it happened, and I was there. So that's kind of cool. The decision to leave bass and go to Major League Fishing was very hard. I mean, it's almost like walking away from. It's almost like walking away from your family. I mean, because all you knew was bass growing up, and that's what you watched, and that's what you took part in, and you fight to get to the Elite Series, and you walk away from that qualification to go chase this new plan, this new business, this new company, and it was tough. It was a tough decision, but I thought the upside could be good. I thought that maybe there was ceiling was higher. I mean, Bass is a 52-year-old company, and they've done some good things, and they got a big brand. And Major League Fishing was a young company, still a young company. It seemed like they had momentum at the time. Everybody got in our boats. All the marshals that got in our boats at Elite Series tournaments want to talk about Major League Fishing and why you don't fish, how you get into it. They had a lot of momentum, and it was a tough decision.
Yeah, I can tell, and it would have to be. I've been doing this. There was a stretch of time when I didn't do it. I'm doing now, but this is funny. When I started an internet radio show in 2001, and so from 2001 to 2007, I did an internet radio show. Well, we're calling these things podcasts now. Back then, there was an internet radio show, and then I stopped until just recently started doing these podcasts. But there was a big angler movement in 2004, 2005. It's like the organization was restricting an angler's ability to go out and showcase their own sponsors and things like that. And there was the Professional Angler Association that formed, mm-hmm. And I mean, you could see back then that there was definitely it's if anglers need it, then it's a need. There's a need to have that platform change. And
yeah, see, like 04 and 05 PA, that was all before my time.
Yeah.
But it's tournament fishing is a different game. It's an interesting game. The longer I'm in, the more you learn. But and it's different because things change. So like when I started my career in 2010, I was 26 years old. I had no family. In 2006, all I needed was a can of dip and a toothbrush and somebody to take a shower. Life was good. And I had to get my left arm to be there. Well, then you get older, you learn more, you get married, you have kids, your needs change, your wants change, and things change, and things happen. People grow. Has Bass done everything right? No. Have they done everything wrong? No. Has Major League Fishing done everything right? No. Have they done anything wrong? No. Everybody's learning, and the businesses learn, anglers learn, and it's just a work in progress to get everything best it can for everybody. And you just keep running and do your deal and see where it rides.
Yep. All right. So you've got a. I overheard a story about you talking about mayonnaise, and it is so funny. I would like you to share that with us. So tell us the mayonnaise story.
Yeah, mayonnaise story. So that was
mayonnaise.
That was in 2010 or 11, hanging out with Keith Crochet.
Keith Crochet.
A lot of people get me and Keith.
No relation.
Different states, different spelling, different name, different everything. So I'm hanging out with Keith, and we're in Troy, Alabama, and we go to a local restaurant to eat supper. And the lady says, what can I get you? And I said, well, I need a cheeseburger. I want a cheeseburger with mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup, and pickles. And she said, all right, no problem. You want a cheeseburger, mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup, and pickles? And I said, no. I said, I want a cheeseburger, mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup, and pickles. She said, yeah, you want a cheeseburger, mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup, and pickles. And I didn't know if she was stupid or if I should be embarrassed because she didn't understand me. I didn't know what was going on. So I looked at Keith. I said, man, tell that woman what I want. And Keith told her in Alabama redneck talk what I wanted. I want a cheeseburger with mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup, and pickles. And that didn't happen to me a couple of times. New York, it can be sometimes it can be hard to for them to catch me.
Did they get the order? Did she get the order right?
When Keith told them in Alabama, they got it right.
So we're not doing any math. There's no minus. There's no plus. It's just minus.
Yeah, minus.
Yeah.
What she thought was minus. I don't know.
We're not doing math here.
No, I just want a good cheeseburger and what I want on it.
Well, that's a great story. Cliff, appreciate you for joining us today. This is a real treat. Being able to sit down with yourself and other pros like this, and to hear stories and to hear things like that. Best of luck to you, and thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, appreciate that. Gators, mayonnaise, and branding. Only Cliff Crochet could take us in all those directions during the course of a single interview. I recorded about 2 hours of content with Cliff, and there'll be a lot more that we put out that came from those conversations, including a really funny takeover in which he brought Mark Daniels Jr. into the interview. That will be something to see as well. That's going to do it for this episode. Until next time, folks, keep both hands on the wheel. Be careful out there, and we'll talk to you again very soon.